We open in a dark forest with twisted trees and black moss. The sky above is just as strange and murky. This is a place filled with bizarre monsters you would never see in reality. And our protagonist is caught in the jaws of one of them. The creature's massive jaws are about to crush his head, and just like that, it is over. But then he wakes up, jolting out of bed. He clutches his throat, trying to catch his breath. For 12 years, he has been having these dreams, feeling the pain of death. Back in reality, it is just another normal day, but he cannot forget. He sketches the monsters from his dream and analyzes them. He says he can endure the pain of dying over and over. His entire life revolves around this endless cycle. The real problem is sleep itself. He is just so tired. If he falls asleep in reality, he is sent to that nightmare world, and if he dies in the nightmare world, he gets sent back to reality. So yeah, there is no way for him to get a proper night's sleep. Man, what a terrible curse to live with. So for 12 years, he did everything he could to survive the dream. He learned swordsmanship, martial arts, survival skills, you name it. And it worked. He started dying less and less often. However, that did not solve the core issue. The fundamental problem is still sleep. A doctor gives him some advice. Try to find something you want to do. Something he wants to do. The words echo in his mind. All our boy wants is to finally fall asleep. He just wants to sleep soundly for once in his life. But instead his nose just starts bleeding. He clutches his throat as the bleeding gets worse. His eyes widen in confusion as he loses control, and then he just collapses onto the floor. He lies there completely still in a pool of his own fluids. Suddenly, his body feels light and his terrible headache is gone. It feels like fresh, clean air is filling his lungs. He feels like he finally slept well after 12 long years. He starts to wonder if he actually died. If so, then where is this place? He opens his eyes to find himself in a strange forest. He realizes this is the nightmare world he has suffered in for years. He immediately snaps to attention, on high alert. A giant, lizard-like creature slithers up the tree behind him. The multi-eyed monster stares down with hunger. He thinks about the amount of blood he lost back in his room. He concludes that he might really be dead this time. If that is the case, he has a decision to make. He stands up, realizing there is no reality to return to. From now on, this nightmare is his reality. He knows exactly what this place is and how to survive. He decides not to fight, planning to find a safe place first. He stays quiet, already forming a plan. He grips his blade, thinking, but what is this feeling? He decides he does not want to run away from this lizard beast. He wonders if it is because he finally slept well, or because his body is young. The massive lizard beast towers over him, ready to strike. It lets out a ferocious roar, its fangs bared, his hands tighten on the hilt of his sword, his body screaming at him. Every instinct is telling him to fight and to survive. He launches himself forward, slashing deep into the monster's side. Blood splatters across his face, but his eyes are locked on the target. The beast slams its massive fist into the ground where he just stood. He stands over the fallen beast, victorious after a brutal fight. Suddenly, pillars of golden light descend from the cloudy sky. He kneels over the corpse, plunging his sword into its flesh. He reaches inside and pulls out a strange glowing blue core. He examines the pulsating blue orb he just retrieved from the monster. The orb is covered in blood, but it glows with a powerful light, and then he just starts eating it. As you do. After his snack, he stands up and surveys the dark forest around him. He makes a promise to himself. In this dark fantasy world, I will survive no matter what. His first goal is simple: get out of this gloomy place. He heads towards a brighter place, leaving the darkness behind. He finds a safe spot high up in a tree to rest for a bit. He thinks about how well he has been sleeping lately. He closes his eyes, finally feeling a sense of peace. A small smile plays on his lips as he rests. Our boy reflects that it has been a month since he came to this place. He kept moving toward the light through the darkness, and now, even when he feels like fighting, he does not go hunting. He thinks betting your life just for fun is insane. From behind a tree, he watches a winged beast feeding on another creature. Still, he admits he cannot help feeling like he wants to fight. The only times he goes hunting are when he needs food. And right on cue, he launches himself at the winged beast. The other reason he hunts is when he can gain a new power. He finds a glowing blue essence inside the demon beast's body. He pulls the gooey substance out of the creature by eating this. He has a chance to obtain the demon beast's power. He notes that since he started this, it's become easier to adapt here. And there is one more thing he found out. It seems this body belongs to someone with the status of a third-class mercenary. He pulls out a tag and realizes he can read the writing of this world. The tag confirms his new identity, a third-class mercenary. A thought strikes him as he stares at the badge. If a badge like this exists, it means people are living somewhere in this world. He sees a bright light shining through the forest ahead. But as he approaches the light, he suddenly stops. He looks down and spots something on the ground. It is a trap, a large metal bear trap. His expression changes as he puts the pieces together. A trap means people might be nearby. He leaps into action. He follows the trail and finds a house in the woods. He cautiously enters, calling out to see if anyone is home. The place seems empty, but he spots a book on the table. He reaches out and touches the old leather-bound book. He opens it up and finds it is a field record of the demon realm. His eyes widen. This is exactly what he needs. The book details the history of this world and its terminology. He knows this book is absolutely essential for his survival here. But suddenly, he hears a floorboard creak behind him. An old man with a crossbow is perched above him, asking who he is. The man threatens him. If you don't answer properly, I'll put a hole in your skull. Meanwhile, our boy is just glad to see another person, but realizes he looks like a robber. He tries to explain. Please don't misunderstand. I just saw a house in the middle of nowhere, so I came in out of curiosity. That's all. The old man is not interested. Then get lost. I've got nothing to do with you. Our boy agrees to leave, saying he understands. But he cannot just leave the book behind. He asks if he can borrow it or even pay for it. The old man glares at him. And if I refuse, our protagonist knows he needs this book to live. So his hand moves towards the hilt of his own weapon. He decides that in that case, he might have to become a robber too. The two of them are now locked in a tense standoff. The old man takes aim with his crossbow, not backing down. Our boy thinks he does not know how strong the man is, but he does not think he would lose. The old man just smirks, seemingly unfazed by the threat. The older man lowers his crossbow and introduces himself as Hector. Our boy sees an opening and introduces himself as Kim Woo Jin. Hector mishears his name and asks him to just call him Jin. Jin looks a bit annoyed that his name is so hard for people here. Hector holds up the book. If you want to read it, stay here for a while and read it. He offers Jin a deal, read the book in exchange for helping with chores, and just like that, Jin found a place to stay in this strange world. He narrates that, while Hector was blunt, he did not seem like a bad person. Over a meal, Hector tells him to eat up. Jin stares at the warm soup. It has been so long since he had a proper meal, man. The simple food tastes heavenly. He thinks Hector might be an angel. The next day, Hector is heading out to hunt. He is going to take revenge on the demon beast that killed his comrade. Hector's expression is grim, filled with a desire for vengeance. Jin realizes the beast must be incredibly powerful to make Hector this tense. And with that, the old hunter heads out into the wilderness, now alone. Jin finally opens the book he was so desperate to read. The book details the history of this world, starting with the Northern Empire. It tells of a greedy king who sought forbidden power. He laid his hands on the gate of the other world, a source of immense energy. From that day on, a dark portal filled with monstrous eyes opened. This was the beginning of the disaster as demon beasts poured into the world. In just 9 years, the creatures turned the entire North into a demon realm. In response, the human factions united and formed the Church Alliance. They erected a great barrier to hold back the tide of demons as Jin closes the book. He thinks to himself, there really is a lot of useful information here, but he realizes the monsters get stronger the deeper you go into the demon realm. Meanwhile, an old hunter with a crossbow is sprinting through the woods. Our boy wonders just how deep into this demon realm he actually is. The old hunter stops to catch his breath, wondering if he got lost. A pack of monstrous wolves with glowing red eyes emerges from the trees. The hunter immediately turns and flees for his life. The pack of beasts gives chase, their fangs bared. He skids to a halt. Realizing he cannot outrun them, he turns and fires a volley of glowing arrows from his crossbow. But the beasts are too fast, easily dodging the attack. The hunter's face twists in disbelief. Oh, come on. He is sent flying backwards through the air, revealing our boy standing right there. Jin stands ready for a fight, his eyes glowing with a red light. The old hunter yells at him. Jin, run, it is dangerous here, but Jin does not run. He charges straight past the hunter. The old man can only watch in stunned silence. Our boy's eyes are locked on his target, completely focused. An arrow from the hunter lands just short of the beasts. He launches himself into the air, soaring towards the alpha wolf. The beast roars back, ready to meet his attack head-on. With a powerful downward slash, he brings his blade crashing down. The massive beast is cleaved completely in two. Damn, the rest of the pack freezes, watching their leader fall. One of the remaining wolves bares its teeth, not ready to back down. The old man is in complete disbelief, stammering. You have got to be. He took down a werewolf in a single slash, leaving the old man stunned. The old man calls out a name. Hector. Our boy looks back at him. Is a demon beast like this considered strong? He looks pretty confident for a guy who just arrived in this world. The old man seems to find the question ridiculous. You're asking if a werewolf is strong. He confirms that yes, it is incredibly strong. Our boy just says he understands. He turns to face the rest of the pack. Then, I will hear the details after I deal with the rest. And right on cue, the entire pack of demon wolves charges at him, he notes. They do not look that strong, though. There are about 40 of them. His plan is to take out the second in command to shatter their morale. His eyes lock onto his target. He spots the one, an exceptionally large wolf standing at the very front. He leaps into the air, ready to strike his first target. But the lead wolf seems to notice something is off. His eye glows with a menacing red light. The wolf's expression shifts from aggression to fear. It seems to realize the danger it is in, and then it just turns and smacks one of its own pack members. As you do, the leader bolts, leaving its pack to deal with the threat. It yelps like a scared pup as it flees for its life. The rest of the wolves are just completely baffled by this. With their leader gone, the entire pack just scatters and runs away. The old man is speechless. They ran away, those wolves who are known for their bravery. Jin thinks to himself that the wolf leader was smart to run away. The fleeing wolf pants heavily, terrified for its life. Later that evening, they are back at Hector's house. Hector explains the bounty on the werewolf's head is at least 40 gold coins. Jin asks if that is a lot of money, and Hector confirms it certainly is. Man, it is enough to live comfortably for 6 to 7 years without working. Jin is shocked that a weakling like this has such a high bounty. A small smile creeps onto his face as an idea begins to form. He realizes that whenever he is short on cash, he can just hunt more monsters. He thinks life here might be easier than the last 12 years, as he places a pouch on the beast. Hector gives him a werewolf hide, jerky, a pouch of silver coins, and a pioneer map. He tells Jin to go to Pioneer Village and find a man named Jacob. Jacob will buy the hide for a fair price. Jin asks if it is okay to receive all this. Hector says it is just payment. Since Jin killed the werewolf he held a grudge against, the old hunter extends his hand. He thanks Jin for getting his revenge and hopes they meet again someday. The two of them shake hands, a sign of mutual respect. Jin looks him in the eye and thanks him for everything. And with that, his short stay at the hunter's cabin comes to an end. Fully equipped, Jin leaves the house as Hector watches him go. He heads off alone into the vast and dangerous woods. As he walks, he spots a strange creature perched on a cliffside. It is a fox-like beast with 2 long tails that end in sharp claws. The creature snarls, its bright blue eye glowing with menace. Jin continues on his path and finally arrives at a fortified settlement, Pioneer Village. Jin arrives at a place he identifies as Pioneer Village. He notes that for a small town, it is pretty well stocked. As he walks through the streets, he notices people staring at him. A few particularly rough-looking men eye him with suspicion. He figures everyone is on high alert because he is a stranger. But well, in a world like this, people can be more dangerous than monsters. He spots a tavern and decides to head inside. The place is packed with rowdy patrons drinking and gambling. A large man reaches out to block his path. Jin ignores him and walks straight to the bar where the bartender offers him a drink. He passes on the beer. More importantly, do you know where I can find a man named Jacob? A man sitting nearby turns around at the mention of the name. He introduces himself as Jacob, and Jin immediately thinks he has the face of a scammer. Jin tells him, I was sent by Hector. He said, if I met you, I could sell a werewolf hide. Jacob is completely shocked, shouting that Hector killed a werewolf. Jin realizes the man assumes Hector did the deed, and decides to just let him think that. Jacob unrolls the bundle and his jaw drops. It is an actual werewolf hide. He cannot believe that old man Hector actually pulled it off. A greedy smile spreads across his face. He says he knew all along that Hector had it in him. But then, Jacob and his buddies surround Jin menacingly. Jin looks at them, asking what they are doing. Jacob drapes the hide over himself. Get lost while I am asking nicely, and I will spare your life. Jin thinks to himself that faces do not lie. He was a scammer, after all. Jacob explains that supplying Hector was a losing business. So this is just him getting his due. The merchant says he needs this hide to make up for all the losses he has accumulated. Jin's eyes glow red as he contemplates killing the man, but he clenches his fist, deciding he cannot kill someone over a mere hide. So instead, he throws his drink right in the merchant's face. The man glares at him. Kid, do not try to be clever and get lost. Jin just stands there silently, covered in this splashed drink. He then turns to leave, seemingly giving up. As he walks away, he tosses a pouch of money onto the floor. The merchant picks it up with a smug look, calling it a smart choice. But then his expression shifts to confusion, because Jin has just picked up an entire wooden table. He calls out to the merchant. Hey, Jacob! Jin smirks. You should have gone for the neck, not the back. Jacob looks stunned. I take back what I said about being smart. He declares that this kid does not know the value of his life as his men move in. One of the thugs charges forward, screaming for Jin to die. Jin thinks to himself that killing guys like them probably will not give him any guilt. He easily blocks the thug's sword with his own blade. The thug is shocked, realizing Jin is strong, and as Jin's eye glows, it is clear he is more than just strong. He is also incredibly fast, cutting down one man and moving to the next. A huge bald man brings a massive axe down on him. Jin dodges effortlessly as the axe smashes the floorboards. He grabs a round wooden shield from the wall, and he brings it up just in time to block another incoming attack. A man in a tavern yells out in panic as he is suddenly attacked. The sound of a blade slicing through the air fills the room. Jin is a blur of motion, cutting down several men in a spray of blood. His eyes glow with a menacing red light, completely focused on the fight. One of the men holds the severed head of the werewolf. What the? Where did that monster pop out from? He cannot believe a fighter this strong exists in the area without him knowing. He realizes that at this rate, he is going to die for nothing. Jin easily dodges a wild punch from a large brawler. The man's fist just barely misses its target. Jin counters with a brutal strike to the man's chest. He stands over his fallen opponent. A silent and deadly figure, a small cut on his lip is the only sign he was even in a fight. The leader of the group finally breaks. Damn it, everyone run. His men scramble to escape the tavern in a complete panic. One of them even dives headfirst through a window to get away. The leader is left behind, sprawled on the ground in terror, but his eyes widen as he sees something new appear at the entrance. A massive red wolf with glowing blue eyes stalks into the village. Jin steps between the wolf and the terrified man, shielding him. He shoves the man aside, taking on the new threat by himself. Our boy just looks confused by this whole situation. The wolf barks ferociously, its drool flying everywhere. Jin recognizes the beast. "You're that scout wolf?" The wolf just glares back at him, seemingly confirming it. Jin's eyes glow red. He asks it, "Did you come here because you want to die too?" The massive red wolf freezes in its tracks, completely stunned by Jin's threat, and then it just whimpers and collapses onto the ground. It starts rolling around on its back, panting and wagging its tails like a puppy. This giant monster is just flopping around on the ground in front of them. Jacob's men are just staring, completely baffled by what they are seeing. Jin is just as confused, wondering what is up with this mutt-like behavior. He looks at the panting beast and a ridiculous idea starts to form in his head. The thugs can only watch in disbelief as Jin approaches the creature. He points at the men and gives a simple command: bite. The creature's eyes glow as it instantly springs into action. It lunges forward, its claws and fangs ready to tear into the nearest man. The man lets out a terrified scream as the wolf descends on him. It is a brutal and bloody takedown over in a matter of seconds. Jin watches the carnage unfold and just says, "Nice." The last remaining thug can only gasp in horror at the scene. The wolf stands over its victim, its shadowy tails lashing behind it. The leader panics, thinking he needs to get out of this situation immediately. He figures Jin is just a moron, so he can probably talk his way out of this. So he gets on his knees and starts begging, "Please spare me. I will do anything you tell me." But in his mind, he is already plotting his revenge for this humiliation. A massive sword slams into the ground right in front of his face. He looks up in terror, seeing the blood dripping from the blade. Jin holds the sword steady, as the man meekly asks, "Sir," but Jin is not buying the act for a second, thinking what a bastard he is. A dangerous smirk spreads across his face. Who does he think he is taking for a pushover? Jin flashes back to a time his boss begged him, "I am sorry. Please, let this slide just once." He remembers his factory manager making excuses about his salary being late. Back then, Jin was soft-hearted and just accepted the situation. He thinks to himself that he should not have done that, because once he gave in, a week's delay stretched into a month. And then two, he would ask about his pay while the manager practiced his golf swing indoors. The manager would just look at him with contempt, calling him a punk. He even had the nerve to call Jin selfish, treating him like a complete pushover. Back in the present, Jin stands over Jacob, remembering how awful it felt to be powerless. He turns away from the terrified man, having learned his lesson from the past. Jacob watches him go, his face a mask of fear. But that fear quickly twists into a greedy, sinister smile. The merchant lunges forward, pulling a knife to stab Jin in the back. He screams for Jin to die as he goes in for the kill. Jin simply turns, his red eyes glowing as he dodges the attack. He blocks the blade with his sword, saying it is guys like Jacob who scam others. His eyes burn with cold intensity as he holds the man's arm. The merchant's face contorts in absolute terror, realizing his mistake. Later, the red wolf approaches the pouch of money Jin left on the ground. The bag is open, revealing the glimmer of gold coins inside. Jin looks over his shoulder, wondering what the wolf is doing. He asks the creature if it wants to tag along with him. The massive wolf responds by nuzzling up against his side. Jin reaches out and places a hand on the wolf's head. A small, gentle smile appears on his face as he accepts his new companion. The wolf looks surprisingly intelligent as Jin pats its head. Jin pets his new companion. "Let's get along from now on, mutt." They find lodging for the night within the city walls. The next morning, Jin wakes up in a proper bed. The wolf sleeping on the floor. He feels completely refreshed after a perfect deep sleep. Jin stretches his bandaged body, feeling like he could fly. Later, he washes his clothes by a stream, his scarred back on full display. He splashes his face with water, his expression thoughtful. He reflects that he killed people for the first time, and not just one or two. As he sits by the water, he wonders why he does not feel any guilt. He considers if it is because they were scum, but knows the emotion was something else. He recalls the fight, realizing the feeling was the same as hunting monsters. It was a thrill, clutching his chest. He senses that something inside of him is starting to change. He stares at his hand, contemplating this new part of himself. He wonders if he is cursed, but decides that surviving is what matters. One thing is certain, his life here will be completely different. He walks with his new wolf companion, determined to live a life of abundance. With a calm look, he decides to simply enjoy the present. They arrive at the 5th Pioneer City, and his first order of business is to sell the pelt. He tells the wolf to stay out of sight while he handles things. Walking through the city, he remembers that he needs to visit the Order Alliance for the bounty. He knows there is a branch here, and briefly regrets calling his new friend Mutt. He finally arrives at a large white building that looks like the right place. A man at a desk confirms this is the Order Alliance. What brings you here today? Jin answers by slamming the massive werewolf hide right onto the man's desk. Jin arrives at a bounty office with the werewolf hide. "I'm here to collect a monster bounty." The clerk scoffs, dismissing it as just dog skin and telling him not to pull pranks. But as he inspects it further, his eyes widen in sudden realization. He unrolls the pelt and shouts that it is a real werewolf hide. The man is sweating, nervously asking if Jin caught it himself. Jin calmly confirms that he did so earlier. Sometime later, our boy is waiting alone in a well-furnished room. The clerk returns with a heavy pouch, apologizing for the delay in verifying the pelt. He confirms the hide is authentic and presents the reward. Jin places his hands on the large pouch of money. He opens it to find a pile of gold coins. Feeling a new kind of excitement, a greedy smile spreads across his face as he holds the gold. Money is definitely a good thing. The clerk interrupts him, and Jin turns to listen. The man asks if he would be interested in another request. Jin's interest is piqued. A request. The clerk explains he has a problem that is causing quite a headache. A monster has taken over the quarry, so workers cannot mine for bloodstone without the mine. The city's economy is collapsing, and the monster is stronger than a werewolf. But the clerk says with confidence, "I feel like you could handle it, brother." Jin gets straight to the point, asking what kind of monster it is. Its name is Mad Skull, a beast with a bounty of 70 gold coins. Jin recognizes the name. "I've read about Mad Skull in the chronicles." And yeah, he adds that it is a monster he has already faced before. He remembers its incredibly hard skull and its insane aggression with strength far beyond that of a werewolf. Damn. He recalls it took him a month and about 28 deaths to kill it the first time. The clerk leans forward, asking, "Do you think you can subdue it?" Jin pauses for a moment, considering the offer. A predatory grin spreads across his face. "Of course. My next prey has been decided." He flashes back to the brutal fight with the thugs. Getting slammed into the dirt, he remembers the bloody result of his counterattack. His eyes glow with a new resolve. Thinking that this time will be different, standing over his defeated foe, he vows to never be taken for a pushover again. With his mind made up, he turns his attention to his companion. He tells his wolf that it is next on his list. Sometime later, they arrive at the massive abandoned quarry. Jin walks along the stone terraces, knowing the mine was shut down because of Mad Skull. The gloomy atmosphere of the place is chilling. He decides it is best to finish this job as quickly as possible, but as he moves to enter the quarry floor, a voice shouts for him to wait. A group of men stops him, their leader asking him to wait his turn because they were here first. Jin is annoyed, wondering since when there is a queue for hunting monsters. The red bandana leader just gives him a slightly awkward smile. He then changes his tune, offering to let Jin join their team to hunt together. Jin weighs his options, knowing it would be a waste of time to wait for them. He thinks it might be better to work together, even if it means sharing the loot, but a memory of a treacherous face flashes in his mind. He decides he cannot trust these people. "You seem to have plenty of people, so why do you want to bring me along?" The leader laughs it off. "Haha, it's embarrassing to admit, but I prioritize safety over performance." He looks Jin right in the eye. "You're strong, aren't you?" Jin notes the clerk's sudden formal tone and asks why he thinks he is strong. A red-haired man points out that the wolf would not be following him otherwise. A blonde woman adds that wolf monsters are too independent for even the Order Alliance to tame. Jin is annoyed, wondering when Mutt decided to show himself. He sees the woman feeding his wolf a huge piece of meat, a delicacy he has not even tasted. The wolf looks guilty, holding the giant meat leg in its mouth. It then drops the food onto the ground. The massive wolf stands up, leaving the offering at Jin's feet. Jin is fuming, thinking what his Mutt takes him for. But man, that meat on the ground looks incredibly delicious. He starts sweating, clearly tempted by the food. His body moves on its own, as he wonders when he last ate a proper meat dish. He hesitates, remembering a dog was just eating it off the ground. His hand reaches for it anyway, his human dignity on the line. Poor guy. The blonde woman offers him some food. "If you're hungry, would you like some?" Jin looks up at her, completely stunned by the kindness in his eyes. She appears like a goddess he can trust. So anyway, he joins their party as they head towards the quarry. He takes a bite of the meat and is blown away by the flavor. The woman then mentions they have not properly introduced themselves. In response, the man is Jonathan, captain of a mercenary group, and the woman is Claire. Jin introduces himself, correcting his old name to just Jin. Jonathan gives a knowing little smirk. They arrive at a massive pit where Jonathan orders his teams to set up traps. He turns to Claire, asking if she is ready to begin. Jin remembers a time from his past, surrounded by a strange green light. He wonders if what he is seeing is magic. He realizes this is the magic he read about in the Chronicles. A woman named Claire casts a spell, asking for blessings upon the land. The spell is called Feather Step, and it envelops the entire part. The man with the bandana praises Claire's buffs, saying they are excellent. Claire warns him that the spell will only last for 3 to 5 minutes. She tells everyone to stay ready. The man with the bandana dashes off, shouting that he will lure Mad Skull to them. Jin notes that the man, Jonathan, is much faster now and thinks magic is cool. He wonders if he could learn to use magic too. Another party member yells that there is no time to waste because Mad Skull is coming. He warns that one mistake could get them all killed, telling them to stay sharp. Jin considers their plan to lure the monster into a trap, thinking it is not bad, but he questions whether this strategy will actually work on Mad Skull. Jonathan uses his enhanced speed to leap over the charging beast. A man with a red bandana and a bandaged head yells for the trap team. He narrowly avoids the monster's attack as it lunges past him. The trap team panics as Mad Skull appears right in front of them. A massive net is dropped, successfully trapping the creature. The beast thrashes as the net pulls tight around its body. The leader shouts the command for the spearmen to attack. The men get their spears ready, preparing to strike the trapped monster. They all charge forward, plunging their spears into Mad Skull's back, but the monster just lets out a roar. The spears not seeming to do much damage. So anyway, a group of men are trying to hold something back with long poles. And yeah, it is a massive tusked monster caught in a net, and it is not happy. Jin watches the scene unfold, thinking this is not good at all. From his view, it is clear the men are being completely overpowered. They are getting tossed around like ragdolls, unable to restrain the beast. The monster lets out a roar and just shreds the net to pieces. Its red eye glows with pure rage as it finally breaks free. It slams its body down, scattering the remaining men. A blonde woman watches in horror, her hand glowing with blue magic. She looks ready to cast a spell, probably as a last resort. But Jin suddenly steps in front of her, facing the monster head-on. He digs his heels in, preparing to fight the Mad Skull himself. He grabs one of the monster's huge tusks with both hands. Man, it is a pure contest of strength as he holds the beast back. The blonde woman yells at him that it is dangerous, but he just tells her not to worry, because he knows exactly how to take down a Mad Skull. He uses the monster's own tusk as a ramp, running right up it. The beast snaps at him, but he is already twisting through the air. Jin lands perfectly on its head and draws his sword. He brings the blade down hard, but it just bounces off the creature's skull. He gets thrown back, thinking he thought he had gotten stronger. The Mad Skull roars its raw power, shaking the ground. Jin lands on his feet, annoyed with himself for letting his guard down. Then, glowing white feathers start floating around him, and he has no clue what is happening. The blonde woman reaches out, shouting that she will help too. Jin feels the magic take hold, thinking his body feels much lighter now. A confident smirk appears on his face, as he thinks this will make his plan much easier. The leader offers to help, but Jin just yells for them to stay back. At once, the man with the bandana looks on completely stunned by Jin's command. Surrounded by the glowing feathers, Jin says that for now, it is easier for him to do this alone. He explains that to hunt a Mad Skull, you only need to know a few things. First, even though it is a monster, it is basically just a pig that runs fast in a straight line, but it has a hard time turning, and he plans to use that to stop it with his enhanced speed. He easily leaps over the charging beast. The monster cannot stop in time and crashes headfirst into a pile of rubble. Its hooves dig into the ground, trying to stop its momentum. It finally skids to a halt, kicking up a cloud of dust. Jin notes the power of buff and prepares for the second step of his plan. He explains that the monster's long tusks serve the same purpose as hands for a human, but they are too hard to be cut with a sword. So he has another idea. He swings his blade in a powerful arc right at the charging monster. The Mad Skull lets out a piercing shriek of pain. Man, that is a sound of pure agony. He knows the pain will intensify with every movement, making it harder for the beast to attack. Jin rushes in, declaring this Mad Skull is finished. He drives his sword deep into the monster's leg. The blade sinks into the muscle, crippling the beast's movement. He stands ready, vowing it will not get another chance to attack. A sinister grin spreads across Jin's face, his eyes glowing red. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Claire rush back towards the quarry. They stop in their tracks, shocked by the devastation. What happened here? Let's find Jin first. They look up in surprise as something blocks their path. It is Jin's wolf, and it lets out a low growl. The sudden appearance of the beast startles the two mercenaries. The wolf roars, warning them to stay back. Is it telling us not to interfere? And then they see him. Jin is standing right there. He looks exhausted, thinking he cannot resist a monster essence. "Jin, you made it back alive." He tells them there is not any mad skull now, leaving them confused. He gestures to the massive defeated creature. "Now, all that's left is pork." The entire group is in disbelief. "Amazing. Did you really do it alone?" Suddenly, Jin's wolf starts sniffing the air, sensing something. It turns and growls fiercely, putting Jonathan on high alert from a dark tunnel. Another tusked monster emerges. Its red eyes are filled with rage. Jonathan shouts for everyone to prepare for battle against another mad skull, but Claire stops him, telling him to wait. The new monster is not alone. It has two small piglets with it. The little ones squeal nervously behind their mother. The mother boar glares at the hunters, ready to defend her young. Jin and his wolf simply stand and watch the scene unfold. The mother boar turns and begins to lead her family away. She looks back at the group one last time, wondering why they are just leaving. Jonathan realizes the monster was planning to raise its young here. "I feel kinda bad." Jin looks out at the horizon. "Anyway, I'm glad it left peacefully." Later that night, they arrive at the 5th Pioneer City. The group heads straight for a local tavern to celebrate their successful hunt. Jonathan raises his arms. "Great work, everyone. Without anyone getting seriously injured, I can't tell you how happy I am that we caught the mad skull." He gets a greedy look in his eye, announcing it is now settlement time. The rest of the mercenaries cheer loudly, excited to finally get paid, but Claire is confused. Wasn't the reward 70 gold coins? This looks like way more than 70 coins. Jonathan just laughs, saying it is all thanks to him making a fuss. He explains that there were 2 mad skulls and even piglets, so he demanded a bigger reward. The new total is a whopping 110 gold coins, and his crew praises him for it. Jin cuts in. "But we didn't fight the mother, and they still gave you that money." Jonathan gets a shifty look, admitting he told a little white lie. His crew just laughs, saying if you do not get caught, it becomes the truth. Jin watches them with his arms crossed, thinking they are interesting people. Jonathan suddenly claps a hand on Jin's shoulder. He announces, "I'm thinking of giving half of the earnings to Jin. Anyone have a problem with that?" Jin is completely shocked by the offer, asking if he means half of it. Jonathan just smiles, telling him to please accept it happily. He says since the reward went up, there is enough for everyone to split. The other mercenaries all give a thumbs up, totally on board with the plan. Jin considers it, thinking that their buff and trap were actually a big help. He takes a drink, realizing that it seems not everyone here is bad. So Jin stands up and offers to pay for all the drinks tonight, and the whole tavern erupts in cheers. The party gets into full swing as everyone celebrates their victory and their pay as Jin drinks. He feels a presence behind him and turns to see who it is. Jin asks Claire where she is going, and she tells him she is off to practice magic. He is a little surprised by her dedication to training. Under the full moon, Claire begins to channel her magical energy. She sits in a meditative pose, completely surrounded by a glowing blue aura. He watches from behind a tree, impressed by her dedication after such a tough fight. The sight of her training makes him think about magic itself. Watching her, he starts to wonder if he should try learning magic too. He asks her to teach him, and she exclaims, "You want to learn magic, of course? I can teach you." He is surprised she agreed so easily, but she says she wanted to give him a gift anyway. She explains that he saved her from the monster, unlike a certain someone in the background. She praises Jin for protecting her, saying she would refuse to work with a group that did not. Jonathan interrupts. "You can't learn magic in just a moment. We have to leave this town within 2 days. Remember." Claire suggests Jin should join their group, but Jonathan thinks a powerful hunter would not want to. Jonathan puts his arm around Jin, saying, "A brave wolf is better off alone." Jin sees right through the act, but admits he does not really have anything else to do. Jin asks about their destination, and Jonathan tells him they are going to the 4th Pioneer City for a job. Jin realizes he was planning to go there anyway, so he asks if he can join them. He awkwardly adds that he could learn magic on the trip, but his excuse is terrible. Jonathan dramatically exclaims what a coincidence it is, happy to have a strong ally. Our boy just smirks, his plan coming together, and so they begin their journey, traveling alongside a massive armored beast of burden. We learn this creature is a Tarrasque, one of the few demon beasts successfully tamed by humans. Jin recognizes the Tarrasque from a book, remarking on its incredible size. Jonathan leads the way, shouting for everyone to get a move on, as they rest for the night. Claire sleeps on his shoulder, and Jin thinks about his difficult training. He thinks about the dozens of reasons why learning is difficult, but the hardest part is persistent repetition. As Claire demonstrates, he knows some things only grow by doing them over and over, but that growth is slow. Jin grits his teeth, thinking this is hard, and that repeating the same thing during a plateau is painful, but he is used to that kind of pain. The 12 years of suffering he endured to survive in the demon realm made him that much tougher. Doing something until it works is a concept he is already very familiar with, and then a spark of blue energy appears before him. Claire exclaims, "That's it. Just now you successfully sensed magic." And Jin realizes that was mana. He thinks to himself, "It took me 10 days just to feel mana. It really is tough," she tells him. Honestly, that's a bit on the slow side, but it's still great. Some people never sense mana at all. She then reaches into her pouch, announcing it is time for the second step. Claire pours a glowing blue liquid into a small basin. She looks at him with a sly smile. "Take your clothes off." Jin is completely bewildered by the sudden request. The wind blows through the tree under the full moon. She dips her gloved fingers into the glowing liquid. With his shirt off, she draws on his back. "I'm creating a path so I can inject mana into your body." The glowing magic circle is now complete. "All right, all done? I'm going to infuse you with magic now, so focus on how it feels." Jin closes his eyes and prepares himself, saying, "Okay." Her hand touches the circle on his back, and it begins to glow intensely. His entire body is now bathed in a powerful blue light. As she channels her energy into him, he thinks this feels completely different from what he sensed before. Deep inside his body, he can feel something thicker than blood flowing through him. She asks if he can feel the mana, and he confirms he feels something flowing through his body. Claire tells him he has just taken the first step and that there are 3 basic stages to magic. Claire explains the 3 steps of magic: sensing mana, containing it, and then using it to cast spells. She says since he has already passed the first step, they can move on to the second. She will guide the mana to his heart, telling him to create a container for it in his body. Jin concentrates, thinking about preparing his body to store the mana. Claire announces they are beginning, as a massive burst of blue energy erupts between them. A glowing blue magic circle suddenly materializes on Jin's back, but then a vision of a monstrous insect-like creature flashes through the scene. The vision continues, showing a terrifying green praying mantis monster, and then a close-up of a massive eye filled with countless smaller demonic red eyes. Claire looks terrified, wondering what this ominous feeling is. Her own blue aura flares as she looks to the side in alarm. She is now on top of Jin, a strained grin on her face as she pushes down on him. She panics, realizing her mana is being absorbed, and soon it will all be drained. Suddenly, a sharp scythe-like tail whips past her head. It was Jin's wolf, which just flung her off of him to break the connection. She lands on her feet, stunned to see the red wolf standing there. The wolf stands guard over Jin, letting out a low growl. She wonders if the wolf stepped in because it sensed she was in danger. Jin calls out her name, finding her sitting on the ground looking shaken. He kneels down beside her, asking if she is okay. She realizes what she just saw was an inner world. She thinks about how an inner world is a person's power and nature given form, and depending on the life someone has lived, their inner world takes a different shape. But for something so ominous to exist in Jin's inner world, she is completely baffled. She looks at him with dead seriousness. "Jin, please be honest with me." Claire looks at Jin with a serious expression. "Have you ever eaten an inner core?" Jin looks back at her, questioning the term inner core. She explains it is the crystal inside demon beasts, and he confirms he has eaten them before. She grabs him by the shoulders in shock. "You ate inner cores? When? And how many did you eat?" He says he has been eating them for 10 years, maybe tens of thousands, and Claire is horrified. Jin asks if there is a problem, and she yells that of course there is a problem. She begins to explain the danger of a human eating inner cores. Claire tells him they either die or turn into a demon beast. Jin stands under the moonlight, his eyes glowing a menacing red. The narration explains the concept of karma, also known as retribution. It is a turbid energy from the demonic realm that grants bizarre abilities to those who absorb it. A monster core is a nucleus formed by the accumulation of that karma. The scene shifts to the next day with the group traveling on the Tarrasque. Claire's thoughts drift to something that is bothering her: the Dark Priest. She recalls that when the otherworldly gate opened, some humans followed the monsters. These madmen ate monster cores and even sacrificed humans to the beasts. Her mind flashes back to Jin's casual confession of eating thousands of cores. She wonders if Jin could possibly be a dark priest, but she dismisses the thought, since he would not have been so open about it. Still, she thinks that makes the situation even stranger. In the background, Jin casually dispatches a monster and gives a thumbs up. She cannot understand why he would pick up and eat such gross things. She concludes he is a mysterious man, while a note says he just copied other monsters. Claire warns him to stop eating monster cores, saying he has just been lucky so far. Jin thinks to himself that her information must be wrong, since he is living proof it is not deadly. He wonders if the fact he felt nothing after killing people and wants to keep fighting is all because of the monster cores he has been consuming. He tells Claire he will try to stop, but she is not having it. "Try my ass. You'll absolutely stop. Never again." She warns him that if he keeps eating monster cores, he will not be able to use magic. Jin is stunned by this, and Claire sighs. "Is that more important than your life? I swear." She explains that in his current state, It will be difficult to use mana manifestation, but she reassures him that he should still be able to use mana arts at least. Jin looks back at her, confused. Asking what mana arts are, they finally arrive at their destination, the fourth pioneer city. A huge crowd of mercenaries has gathered in the city square around a glowing pillar. Jin notes the size of the crowd, but Claire says the scale of the request is just one reason. The other reason is that the job is being overseen by a holy knight. A man in shining armor stands before the crowd. Holy Knight Raymond. Jin and his group look on. Impressed by the knight's powerful presence, he can feel the man's intense aura, realizing he is no ordinary human. Jin asks why so many people are here, and Jonathan explains it is a request from the golden bug wolf. He asks if the golden bug is a monster, and Claire is shocked he does not know. She sighs, saying he really knows nothing but hunting. Jonathan explains that the golden bug is the greatest businessman, a rich tycoon. But, he adds grimly, the man died suddenly not too long ago. Jin asks if he was killed, and Jonathan says there are rumors but nothing is certain. With the golden bug dead, Jin wonders why they are all here. Jonathan says he has 2 sons. The sons have inherited his legacy, and the request is to move them and their fortune inside the barrier. Jin finally understands. Moving a tycoon's fortune would draw a massive crowd. A voice calls out, "Next, Black Marlin mercenary group, come forward. It is their turn." Jonathan grabs a confused Jin, yelling that it is finally their turn. A man at a desk sizes Jin up as others whisper about him taming a werewolf. The crowd murmurs about the rumored head crusher, noting he does not look very strong. Jin questions the ridiculous nickname, but Jonathan tells him to just go with it. The white-haired man at the desk stares at them with intense blue eyes. He announces the Black Marlin group is hired for 100 gold coins, and they leave at sunrise. Jonathan is ecstatic, while Jin is shocked by the high pay for just moving luggage. Jonathan explains that half the pay is for labor, and the other half is for their name value. He says they got a great rate thanks to Jin's reputation as the head crusher. Jonathan explains the nickname means he crushes the heads of monsters he fights. Jin thinks to himself that whoever came up with that name has terrible sense, while Jonathan celebrates the payday. Jin considers how this new fame could be useful. He hopes this reputation will help him in his quest to learn mana arts. The scene shifts to the mercenary group quarters later that night. Inside, a chaotic brawl is underway with men fighting in a makeshift arena. One fighter lands a brutal punch on another's jaw. Claire asks Jin if he will be okay participating in the arena fights. Jin says he heard holy knights use mana arts, and he plans to get their attention. He tells her not to worry, explaining that he has a plan in mind. He recalls reading that holy knights take an interest in strong individuals, and if they acknowledge your strength, you can receive special treatment. Jin steps into the ring to face a much larger opponent. Thinking this will not be too hard, he resolves to draw the Holy Knight's attention in this arena. His opponent rushes forward, throwing a powerful punch. Jin calmly blocks the attack with one hand, completely unfazed. A brawler with taped fists lands a solid punch right on Jin's jaw. The impact sends our boy flying back across the fighting pit. The guy who calls himself Head Crusher laughs. "I am your next opponent, you bastard." Up on the balcony, the Holy Knight sips his drink, thinking he has drawn enough attention, but Jin thinks that just getting attention is not enough. The real start is now. He knows that to make the Holy Knight take him seriously, he needs to defeat more guys. He thinks if he just defeats 2 or 3 more like that, the Knight will start to wonder where a guy like him came from. But when he has defeated dozens, standing over a pile of bodies, Jin believes a real knight would have a very specific thought, and just as he predicted, the Holy Knight tells his apprentice, "Rex, fight that guy." The apprentice, Rex, is insulted. "He wants me to fight a mere mercenary." Jin watches them from below, knowing this is when things really begin. His plan is to refuse the fight, and that is how he will start negotiations to learn mana arts. Rex is completely stunned by the silent refusal he feels from Jin.